permit me to move us to the next presentation, which is re-evaluating employability skills, what it takes to be employed in digital age. This is going to be anchored by Dr. Seun Kolade. Dr. Seun Kolade is a senior lecturer in strategic management at the Montfort University, DMU, Leicester City, UK, where he also holds the post of the Faculty Head of Research Student Training for the Faculty of Business and Law. Prior to joining DMU, he held research and teaching positions at London South Bank University, University of Wolverhampton, Loughborough University, London. His research activities cover the broad areas of transformative entrepreneuring, social capital, small and medium enterprises strategies in turbulent environments, agricultural innovations, and post-disaster preparedness and response. Dr. Kolade has authored more than 40 academic outputs, including journals, book chapters, and referred conference papers. He is a speaker in various international fora and has convened and chaired international workshops, conferences, and conference panels. Permit me to present Dr. Seun Kolade. Dr. Seun Kolade, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Adigo and Professor Arilogun for inviting me to be part of this very interesting, very exciting, and timely and relevant session. So we must especially thank LAUTECH, ODL, ODC for this initiative. So that is actually a testament to a university that wants to do things differently. You know, that is showing a good example to other universities. And I want to also thank the previous speakers for their excellent contribution. So I'll be speaking on the, let me just share my screen so that, yeah, that will guide us through the presentation. Right. So I'll be speaking, like the moderator has just said, I'll be speaking on employability skills, reevaluating employability skills, and what it takes to be employed in the digital age. I think this is quite a very interesting topic. But let me just begin with a very brief comment because I think it's important. I think one of our previous speakers did mention, I think it was Dr. Ogunleye, did mention that education is not for everyone. I sort of understand where he's coming from. And so within that context, I see the point he's making. But I would like to say that actually education is for everyone. And I think it's important for everybody to recognize that. But I think it's about the way we see education. And that is part of the conversation we're having today. That the fourth industrial revolution is about digital integration into all of life. And what it has also done is that it has actually transformed the way we do things across all sectors, including education. And so the point is that everybody has an opportunity to learn because education is about learning. Education is about human capital development. And it doesn't have to happen in a very straitjacketed or very narrow space. There has been a lot of conversation over the past 10 years, but longer than that, but especially over the past 10 years, as to what is actually happening in the education landscape, about the deregulation of the education sector. How, you know, traditional universities are no longer seen as the exclusive site of knowledge production. So there are, you know, DIY or what you call do-it-yourself, you know, platforms. But also actually about how universities are also doing things differently outside of the traditional classroom model, just like what we're having here with the LAUTECH ODLC, that people have the opportunity to learn without necessarily having to, you know, collect formal certificates, you know, that are associated to specific courses. So everybody can learn, everybody can access opportunity to learn, and that is what education is about. But I think what has actually precipitated this particular conversation we're having today is the COVID-19, about the pandemic that we have seen that has happened across the world and is unprecedented. Perhaps the only time, the nearest time we can look back to will be World War II, in which the entire global economy was shut down. And it's getting to, I mean, about 7 months already now. You know, it's never happened before. And what it has done is that it has, of course, disrupted our life. It has disrupted the economy, but it has also actually created a new window for us to see differently about what is changing around us and about opportunities that we have not given attention to before. And that is what, you know, this conversation is about. So what has happened with COVID-19? So we know that digital transformation has been an ongoing process over the past decade, especially. But what COVID-19 has done is that it has accelerated the pace. It has, because of the disruption in the world of work, it has changed things. According to the International Labour Organization, as a result of COVID-19, the global working hours has actually reduced, you know, by up to an equivalent of about 305 million full-time jobs as a result of the pandemic. And a lot of these has happened in the informal economy, where almost about 1.6 billion workers in the informal economy have been significantly impacted as a result of the lockdown, because these are people that have to move, that have to, you know, interact face to face with people in order to, you know, engage in economic activities. And income earnings in that sector has declined significantly, and as you probably would imagine, a lot of this has happened in the continent of Africa and Latin America. So what is happening now is that the disruption has forced a lot of businesses, both in the formal and informal sectors, to think of new ways in which they can carry on. Because for a lot of people, working is about survival. And that is why, you know, African countries especially have struggled with implementation of lockdown. And people, even sometimes people, when they are aware of the risk, you know, of the risk associated with going out, for them, it's a case of either you go out or you die. And that is why, you know, this is not something that is just, you know, happening in the formal sector, but also in the informal sector as well. So as a result of this, you know, COVID-19 has accelerated the pace of digital transformation. And I think, you know, Dr. Wushene, you know, did mention that earlier. So it's not a new thing, but it has brought it further to the fore of our thinking and our collective consciousness. Now, what are the drivers of this digital transformation? So we talk about the key drivers. Some of them have been mentioned already, like high-speed mobile internet. You know, we've had challenges with, you know, broadband penetration, you know, but mobile, you know, 3G, 4G has become quite ubiquitous in developing countries such as Nigeria. There have been talks about artificial intelligence in different ways. You talk about drones now being used, you know, to deliver services and so on, and they are increasingly prominent in this post-COVID-19 context. In a place like Rwanda, drones are being used to deliver, you know, healthcare, you know, services in remote places. There's been widespread adoption of big data analytics, and this is something that's cut across board, including academia and especially in industry. Many of the big tech companies, you know, rely on, you know, these applications, you know, big data analytics, programming language, programming software applications, and so on, and cloud technology. So those are some of the drivers. But of course, there has also been concerns about, you know, the impact of robots, you know, about automation, you know, how this is, what are the implications of this for workers? And you see that image there about, you know, a robot, you know, chasing a human worker out of the office. So this is some of the fears, you know, that robots are taking over. They are going to steal our jobs. It's going to be a jobless future, and so on. And so that is one of the things I want us to just think about. So it's digital transformation. Is it a threat to workers? It is a threat in the labor market. Will digital transformation cut our jobs, or, as the term implies, will it just simply change them? And I think what we are seeing there is that, you know, there has been changes. So according to the World Economic Forum, it said that by 2022, guess what? A massive 75 million jobs will be displaced by digital transformation. That means Some 75 million workers are going to be rendered redundant as a result of digital transformation, which is now, like a moving train that cannot be stopped. But within this same period, and we are talking about, something in 2 years' time, that digital transformation will also have created 133 million new jobs as a result of this new division of labor between humans, machines, and algorithms. So what that means is that on the net, the gains and the loss actually on the net, digital transformation will precipitate the creation of a net of 58 million jobs. So the concern is not really about, who is going to lose the job. It's about, how can young people of today, but also older people of today, reinvent themselves, reposition themselves, reskill themselves, so that they can take advantage of these new opportunities, because there are more opportunities than challenges that will come as a result of these, digital transformation. So there will be 58 million new jobs on the balance as a result of digital transformation. And so if we explore that a bit more, so what are some of the jobs that will be at risk? So you have jobs that are now being done by computers, or that that have been changed as a result of automation, data entry clerks, accounting and bookkeeping, payroll clerks, assembly and factory workers, cashiers, ticket clerks, and a few other bank tellers, postal service clerks, and so on and so forth. So those are some examples of jobs that are at risk. And so, what about these new jobs? What can we do as students, as professionals, as well, who are going to be impacted one way or the other? What we need to do is to reinvent ourselves, to embrace opportunity for learning, opportunity for education, opportunity for reskilling, opportunities for upskilling. And by 2022, about more than half of employees across the world are going to require, reskilling or upskilling. Otherwise, the jobs are at risk. They're going to lose their jobs. And most of these have to do with proficiency in new technologies, but also human skills, things that computers, that robots cannot do. You're still going to need that. So this is not just about technology. Technology is right at the top of the list, but you're also going to need proficiency, in creativity, in originality, in critical thinking, the sort of thing that we're still going to need humans for the foreseeable future. But ultimately, you need a kind of positioning where machines and humans can work as partners. So machines, robots are not our enemies. They are not a threat. For those who are prepared, for those who are ready to embrace and acquire new skills, it is to enable them to be able to be, allies and partners with machines, in the creation of value, in raising, productivity of labor across the world. And according to this report by PwC, AI, artificial intelligence, will contribute up to at least 14% of global GDP by 2030. So it's right at the forefront of that. And sectors such as transportation, storage, and manufacturing are some of those that are going to benefit a lot from automation, and why we need to start thinking. So what are some of these competencies then that are required? So you can see there, there's a brief mapping of some basic skills. So it's not everybody that needs to, begin at the very highest level of learning, going to learn, programming language like Python or R or any sort. Those are really, useful and important. But you can begin from the basic levels. About, even creating online profiles can make a big difference. Businesses that are retailers. I remember, we were trying to organize an event in Nigeria last year. I'm a graduate of University of Ibadan, and I can see one of our brothers there who is a product of LAUTECH, and you are as well, Professor Ogunleye, who is a good friend. So yes, I should mention that in passing, actually. But we were going to organize an event last year, and we were trying to find, hotels that we can book. And the way the systems work in the UK is that, every booking has to be made from here. We can't just, transfer funds to partners on ground when it comes to booking hotels. And I found that some of the top hotels in Ibadan, for example, they don't have functional websites. So, and just as a result of that, although there's a particular one that I really wanted to use, but just because there's no functional website where we can book, that was it. That was opportunity gone. So even some simple things like, having an online profile, being able to, write blogs and so on and put yourself out there can make a big difference. Intermediate skills are there in terms of graphical, graphic design, digital marketing. There are I know a lot of young people who are making, millions by, by creating content on Instagram, by marketing their services on Instagram. So there are a lot of things, but you need that kind of skill. And some of these do not require a lot of capital investment. A lot of this content that are being generated are being created just from mobile phones, for example, and so it's more about the skill. It's more about the knowledge, economy. It's about the skill rather than, the capital sometimes. But also there are also advanced skills, like being able to, work with high programming language, big data analytics, and so on. So there are 5 categories, of digital competencies. So some of them are about information and data literacy. Others are communication and collaboration. You also have digital content creation, safety, as well as problem solving. So there are a lot of things that, that can be done with digital skills and that are being done with digital skills and that are going to be areas where there will be massive employment opportunities in the future. And this is actually an opportunity for Africans, because the current model of production is a disadvantage to Africans, which is now being transformed, of course, because a lot of that require you to be, physically at the site of production. And there are challenges, of course, in terms of being able to do that. But now that a lot of things can be done remotely, it presents great opportunities for African youth to develop these skills. And let me just, by way of an anecdote, reflect on another brief story, which a friend told me, and is an IT professional here in the UK. And he was telling me about how a lot of young people in Nigeria who have never been to the Western world at all, many of them programmers, many of them, app developers, are having loads of money in dollars and pounds sterling without leaving the shores of Nigeria because they have the skills. Nowadays, a lot of things is just you do interview by phone or by Skype or by Zoom, and you're offered a job because you can do it. And once you deliver the output, you are paid. So digital transformation is also actually about the transformation, not only of production, but also about the labor market, about market. So about the fact that, you can work for somebody in Australia that you have not met because you have the skills. So, and so I think this is what is important. So it's about acquiring these skills to carry out existing jobs differently through remote working. It could also be using these skills to assess new opportunities. So now, for example, when we talk about products in the days before, the advent of digital transformation, we are talking mainly of physical products, isn't it? And those are going to be relevant as long as humans remain humans. We are going to consume physical products. We are going to need, including machineries, including electronics, including food items, and so on. But today, more people are consuming digital products as much as they are consuming physical products. And that is a new and growing market. Consider, for example, during this lockdown, platforms such as Netflix have become, popular. The revenue of Netflix has grown by about, 300 or 400% over the past 6 months because, people can no longer go to the cinema, for example. There are people, like I mentioned earlier, who are creating content online, on Facebook, on social media. There's one I've seen a few times called Yabada, who create short sketches that have become very popular. And these are young people who have creative, ideas, and they have, their mobile phone, they have digital, skills, and they are using this to create content, and they are making, a lot of money from it. But there are also those who are using higher level digital skills, like programming skills, to address societal challenges. So some of the things that we are talking about, that have become services that have become expensive to access, young people are stepping in. So what I'm saying is that the challenges we face actually as a continent, when you flip it, there are also auspicious opportunities for young people to create value, to address those challenges, because challenges is about, also opportunities. And to be able to then use these skills to address and tackle those challenges. To give an example, a group of Senegalese IT engineers use 3D printing to create or to produce ventilators that were costing, if I remember correctly, about $60. Now, when you look at the ventilator market, actually, it traditionally costs about, thousands, literally thousands of dollars. These guys were able to step in, recognizing the need in the African continent to actually use new technology to create it at a cheaper price. So the challenges we have as a continent are also opportunities. And this includes, the higher education sector as well. That universities need to reinvent themselves. I hear the very robust and spirited defense of our brother, Professor Kolade, about why ASU is not to blame, and the academic scholars and researchers are not to blame. But I think we cannot bat away this, challenge for universities also to reinvent themselves. The universities of the future are going to be entrepreneurial universities. And this is not just a challenge that applies in a place like Nigeria. It's also a challenge that we are grappling with in the UK, that they are grappling with in the US, because digital transformation is changing everything and everywhere. So universities also need to think about, how can we create value? Because now there's a discussion about, that universities should not just be about knowledge production and knowledge dissemination. It should also embrace the third mandate, the third objective of economic value creation, of economic development. So universities need to reinvent themselves, go out there and be entrepreneurial, because there are opportunities to do things. Even if you look at, delivery, their main mission of teaching, in addition to the traditional courses that we have, there's no reason why universities cannot, begin to generate, small, short courses, executive training for industry practitioners, short training courses for SME owners, short courses for those who are across the whole sector, health, industry and otherwise, who need to be updated with the goings of things. So, and I think, it's an opportunity, to do things differently. It's an opportunity to actually create spaces, science parks. Universities should be leading, the creation of science parks, not waiting for government, because it is about the economy. It's about actually that it can be profit making, as well as, not necessarily profit maximizing, but profit making, sustainable, and delivering and creating values as well. And that is a challenge that I hope also our universities can embrace. So I am aware that our time is fast spent, and our participants would like the opportunity to respond. I want to thank all of you for being here, and some of my friends that I can see who are online. Mr. Tunde Alabi, a good friend of mine who is an industry practitioner, is here. I could see him earlier on. And I hope we have, we enjoy the rest of the sessions, and we have, interesting conversation later on. My contact details are here. So if you want, you can follow me on Twitter. Yes, I have, number of discussions happening there, and my email is there as well. So thank you once again, moderators and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seun Kolade. We are indeed very grateful to you. Thank you for telling us what we need to do. We are now reevaluating our employability skills so that we know what it takes to be employed in the digital age. Well, he said education should be for everybody, not for some specific people. And that is the tenet of the fourth industrial revolution. That is about digital integration of everybody. So it's an inclusiveness. So 4IR is an inclusiveness. So it's including even the people that are challenged are inclusive. So that's why the 4IR is very, very important. To drive the fourth industrial revolution and the digital skills of the day, this is driven by digital transformation, high-speed mobile internet, widespread adoption of big data and things like that. So we don't run away from this. He said if care is not taken, if we don't take charge now, by 2022, there's evidence that 75% of jobs of employees will be displaced by this digital transformation. But at the same time, as deep as scary as that, there's every tendency that up to 133 million new jobs are going to be created. So there are pros and cons on this. It depends upon the angle you are looking from. If you are ready to reskill or upskill, that means you can get new jobs. It told us that some jobs are at risk, definitely. Why new jobs are going to be created? Like then there are some other skills that are required to function in the digital era. There are some challenges like acquiring digital skills to carry out existing jobs, but now, this time around, differently, not the way you used to do it before. Then you have to use digital skills to assess new opportunities. Then universities of the futures are going to be universities that are entrepreneurial universities. Dr. Seun Kolade, once again, thank you so much. If you have any question for Dr. Kolade, please note it down. We are going to address that at the end of the other presentation.